Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 34th episode of Cultist Simulator, the Bright Young Thing Legacy, playing as David Ellison. We are in trouble. So I tried to do a painting to earn some money. We wound up with 3 staleness as a result, which means we're going to be spending a long time trying to recover that. And because I haven't really been exploring other options in terms of making money, the rent's going to come due, and I am just simply not going to have the time to resolve the staleness issue. I can, of course, try to limp along and make a bit of money, just while continuing to sort of pile on the staleness. But that's only going to take me so far. Eventually, I'm gonna run out. So we have a few options available to us. Certainly, the first thing that we do is we stop going on expeditions, because all that we're really doing, if we don't think we can complete it, is throwing whatever funds we have into something that won't return them. Now, of course, because I won't be going on expeditions, that means I can go to Oriflamme's. We can start selling some of the items that I don't need, and if I need to, I can dip into the Iron Spintra. But of course, that's also going to mean that now I want to start doing some more commissions in order to be able to generate those different works. And I'm going to start with Madame Bichet's and Count Janning's Forge and Heart commissions, because I know that those are going to return iron. This will probably annoy Poppy, but we've seen worse from her. So let's start with the Forge commission. So there's the Smith's Secret. We will grab our reason here. This may be useful for a commission. And just a reminder, we are reading the Geminiad, a fragile manuscript illuminated by the twin shapes of sad and luminous beauty, and with all the phases of the moon. It might be as old as the 7th century, but the language Fusine is much older. Coral decorates its cover, and its page edges are sharp enough to slash a throat. These pages outline the nature and doctrines of an hour that demands the union of what is at rest, an hour that is sought at the water's edge and beneath the moon, the witch and sister. The language is naughty, poetic, willful. It will take some untangling. Treasures lie before us. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. We're fine. My minion is returned, attended by a prisoner rendered docile with delight. Okay, so that's going to mean another trip to the Stag Door for me, and we got some money for our trouble, so that's nice. Now I do want to... Basically, I'm going to send some knock followers out to do some burglary, but in this case, I will head to the Spider Door, see if we can get a better secret history from that. Spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. Talk-wise, let's go... Enid? Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Burglary. My disciple can probably use their talents to harvest treasures from the unsuspecting. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. And Season of Despair coming up. Now I do want to start being a little careful about the books that I'm reading in the Season of Despair. I should have turned in commissions. My bad. Now we have the opportunity to get rid of the staleness, so we will add the 4 passion. And in this case, let's do a painting about my vitality. So the idea is, as long as I have an opportunity to get rid of the staleness, I'll take it. But if I can't get rid of the staleness, then we're going to do commissions. All right, the room is empty, but at last, when we chance to break one of the casts, we find Foreman's library treasure. Sorry, I should read that before. In the room that overlooks the grimy glass of the broken conservatory, twisted shapes, yellow pale as maggots, recline on slabs of wood. These are the plaster casts that Foreman made of the poor souls inhabited by the creatures he studied. In some of the figures, the entry holes are visible in the relevant surface. In others, we might assume the creatures entered by ear or mouth or elsewhere. The room is empty, but at last, when we chance to break open one of the casts, we find Foreman's library treasures, cached in the figure's yellowing abdomen. So we have Matthias and Imago transformation. That is one that we can translate and read. The deeds of the scarred captain. The world does not weep. The devoured tantra. So all of these are works that we can understand. Now, unfortunately, we are probably going to have to say goodbye to our summons simply because I don't really have, I just don't have what it takes to kind of get everything, everything sorted out. I think in this case we're just going to have to let the Callagine and Percussicant go by while we sort out our other concerns. The Geminiad reminds us that the witch and sister have been known to manifest as the sister and witch, and that this face may heal while the other face is always hungry. It implies connections between the witch and sister and the hours of the wood, especially the secret keeper called the Velvet, but it is ambiguous on whether the witch and sister is a wood hour proper. And it speaks at length about the sadness of the two who are one, the sadness that remains from their time as flesh. So here we have the rite of the crow's quenching. This rite calls on the beach crow at sunrise or moonrise. The crow accepts the sacrifice and returns the gifts of the earth. So here we have read the Geminiad. So this is one of the rare cases where you do actually get to keep the book because it is a tool. We have another copy of the Moldywarp Admonitions. We've used that to upgrade into a Centipede Testament, a Thakic Invocation. I always like this because, of course, this is one of the cases where you get to see references to more than one principle inside of the work. It's also just reflected in terms of the lore that you get as well. It's not a major point, but especially when this was a book that appeared earlier, this was just a nice little reminder of how the game works and how some assumptions may not necessarily be in line with what actually happens in the game. Okay, let's study. I think we're just going to go in order. I may change once I start getting to some of these Winter and Edge works, but for now I think we'll be safe. The Tantra of Worms, the entomologist Juliana Zawitowski eventually came to insist that this text was written by insects inhabiting a human skin. She never presented evidence for her claim. Lock the study door, the work begins. So, let's get some sales. In this case, we'll start by selling the jumble. We don't need the funds right away, so the ones that are sort of a lower probability of a return, kind of want to get those out of the way first. So this oddity is probably worth something, but it's hard to be sure. This is something like enlightenment. Colors of the night, I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. Here I'm not spending. Three of the staleness is not really going to help my returns. I've drunk the light of their mind. It thrills and fills me. The marks brighten in me. Now again, we can't go any further than the sixth mark, so nothing really to focus on there. Let's try the Mallory. I don't really need the favor from authority. If we're lucky, we'll get a secret history. If not, we'll probably wind up with an item. All right, Ionic Essence. Last night in the Mansus, I visited the Mallory, from whose fires one does not emerge unchanged. The forge's light fell upon me, and my heart boiled, and when I woke, my blood burnt within me, so that I had to shed it in a cup before it overwhelmed me. And lo, 10 drops of it were not blood exactly, unless the blood be the blood of the sun. Perhaps I found a cup, and the blood is not mine, the forge seer's memory. And here we have Ionic Essence. In the later operations of the forge, the Madrigard yields the true forge of days, and the essence begins to redden. Someday perhaps it will not, but for now we have this. So there's nothing really I need from the dream slot right now. We'll leave that empty. There might be an argument for trying to resummon the Callagine, but in this case I think I'm just going to let it expire. Now I do need to be careful about any potential fascination, but I said the dream slot would be open, so we should be able to clear it out. My recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. So 2 funds is certainly a lifeline. Still at 2 staleness. That's not my favorite feature. But we can get another commission done. I don't think we're going to study Count Jannings. I think we will take care of Hart. And it needs reason. This may be useful for a commission. I prepared the text for study. The Tantra explains various less than practical countermeasures against the worms, the serpents which are not serpents. Moth and Winter are closest to them, and so understand their weaknesses. Both have their own perils. The Lionsmith crushes them, but that's not recommended for mortals. And the auctioneer's gavel bangs. My item has sold. However, it is not sold for... So no one is impressed. The auctioneer's gavel bangs. My item is sold, but for a sum so trifling as to not be worth recording. So this is, again, why we do this early. So now I'll start selling the things that I have duplicates of. So this means Gildersleeve's Latin grammar. This oddity is probably worth something, but it's hard to be sure. And my follower has returned with their haul. So that's another 2 funds. And, of course, some notoriety. Oh, 3 funds. Never mind. All right. Let's turn in the works now. I don't think we're going to need to dip into the iron, but we'll see. I have what the doctor requested. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. I want to make sure that we're covered by anything that's coming up next, so we don't have any fascination to worry about. Now we'll turn in with Madame Bichet. We should get our passion back in time for the next... once the next commission is done. It's funny, we spend so much effort to get that percussivant, and in the end we wind up throwing it away, but I wasn't the one to get killed by it, so... 18 seconds, we can wait. I was thinking maybe I should try and get another body. Clouds apart, the wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. And finished another manuscript, so there's all the passion that we wanted. And in this case, I can try and extend the life of the percussivant. I'll paint them into our world, and perhaps they'll stay a little longer. The Suppression Bureau will likely take an interest. I'm not too worried about notoriety anymore, so we'll leave that be. But I am going to turn in the Hart Commission to Jannings. And then we can start using the talk verb for Saliba's special abilities. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So here we've got 12 iron spintra if we are in desperate need. My preference, of course, is to just earn the money through traditional means. A sufficiently persuasive disciple can probably lure a susceptible companion back to us. And the Tantra of Worms, the worms have always been eager to inhabit us. Here are the practices which make us inhospitable to them. There are diagrams. The diagrams are not good to look upon, and none of the practices they depict would allow the subject to survive. So another operation of the declining sun. So we've got 4 of those now, so we can actually upgrade I could upgrade it twice and then bring that to an even higher level with winter. But the challenge here is that it requires a grim lesson, and we tend not to keep dread hanging around all that much, so it's a little less likely we'll be able to take advantage of it. Now, I'm happy that Gildersleeves sold so well. For whatever unlikely reason, my item has caught the fancy of the bidders. We may actually be able to go on an expedition off of this. Maybe we'll... Yeah, you know what? Why not? So, Orthos Wood, the pines grow thick as hairs on a dog's back. The airs of the inner wood are chokingly thick with resin and dust. The source that brought you here claimed that in the dawn times, the greatest tree at the wood's black heart served as a perch for the great masked crow. So I'll bring the percussivant because I want to preserve it, but clearly we're going to want a moth follower. In the black heart of Orthos Wood, we might find the tree where the masked crow met its peers, but the forest itself is a peril, and the cannibal clans who live there another. So I think this is going to be all moth, but we'll deal with it as it comes by. Deoris Book 2 in Latin, a 19th century reprint by the indefatigable Nathaniel Darcy Evers of a 14th century Latin translation of a 4th century work. Probably pick an inspiration. We did the vitality and it's not that helpful for us, so let's say actually let's do a formula vigilant. Esoteric art, those who know will understand. Alright, let's add Sylvia right away. So we need to worry about the Watchers and then the wood itself. Long ago, primal trees marched from sea to sea. Some traces of their reign still survive, like this dense and choking territory of root and thorn. The practicalities of forge or the mysteries of moth may see us through. Okay, season of sickness coming up, so hopefully we will get a heart out of the painting. We did not. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So I have to suspect the card that'll turn over is going to be a notoriety. Again, it's just so I can have 4 in the stack. Commission time. Alright, what else are we up to? So I haven't really used the dream slot, but again, that's because I don't have anybody to sacrifice to the spider door. Call upon the moth who sees the trees of the wood. The wood beneath the mantis is darker even than this place. The moth will guide our footfalls. Success is very high. And I've prepared the text for study. An occasional Deoris Book 2, an occasionally coherent catalogue of the secret gods. This is an English translation of a volume describing the enmity between the Lionsmith and the Tribune of Scars. This volume deals mostly with the Lionsmith, the Tribune of Scars, and their enmity. A light through the trees. There's something up ahead. We've made it through the wood, or made it through the forest. So I'll have a bunch of commissions that I can pick up in a little bit. Attempting a seduction out in the night, my follower is whispering words that sometimes they might mean. Even if their victim knows the words are lies, they may not care. Alright, we've got another hapless prisoner and a bit of money to go along with it. So let's get those commissions. The doctor would like help with his research, so we should be able to talk to Madame Bichet, and Jannings should be available shortly after, so I don't think we'll... Oh, right, because I can turn in with Poppy. Alright, he wants a Secret Histories commission. And Bichet, she's seeking pieces for the notorious Kerisham Review. I finished the manuscripts. The White, a substantial investigation. You've said all that is necessary. We've got the passion that we need, so I'm going to do another painting with heart. This one's a little bit less about keeping the notoriety so much as it is trying to provoke some heart events. And in fact, we're going to go through the white door, use some health. Now I can approach the white door through the bounds. Now I can press my fingers to it, feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the mansis. Okay, Madame Boucher would like a Grail commission this time. We'll turn in with Poppy, and then we should be able to get another commission from Jannings, and then we'll send Saliba out again. I have what Poppy requested. I've received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. Let's tidy up the supplemental items we have. Most of the stuff's going away soon, so not that important, but there must be order on the board. Okay. Count Jannings. The Good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. And the expedition continues. We may still fall to the Watchers, but we'll see where it all goes. And the Lionsmith makes monsters to defeat the Tribune, but the scars of the Tribune are each a weapon. So some erudition and a knife's secret. More of a collectible for us than anything. On to the Thirsting Tantra. C.G. Burial, the Temperance campaigner, published elements of this in a pamphlet, which had to be withdrawn and destroyed after it became too popular. So once again, we study it. I'm not really that worried about studying my health yet. There's a few things that I can do to get a vitality, but if I need, I will do so to save myself the money. And again, we're not paying for the paints because we want to get rid of the staleness. We're less likely to make some big money. Although, in fairness, the last time we tried to make big money, we wound up with 3 staleness and not a whole lot of cash. Look closer. Closer still. Closer. Keep looking. Closer. Now close your eyes. All that I am is here. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. So 3 funds is a nice return, especially given the kind of staleness we were looking at, and we've gotten rid of the last of it. So as is my way, I plow straight into the next, painting. And again, this is going to come back to bite me, but I am actually going to do another esoteric art with heart, just because that's the thing that I need right now. Okay, I've been letting the talk verb go by without any activity, so I will seduce another stranger. Sickness. The sickness has damaged my health. I will need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Watcher's confusion. Their bewilderment is our opportunity. Will pass in silent secrecy. Alright, I don't exactly want to deal with the restlessness, so let's see what the Orchard of Light says. Wow, I didn't see that. Not too helpful for us. The Sun in Splendor, the hour who once ruled the Mansis, was known to walk in the orchard before his terrible division. Sometimes his remnants walk here still. Sometimes I see the chilly radiance of the Meniscate through the trees, or the chillier radiance of the sun in rags. Were they to come upon me, it might be my end, but to see them in the distance is the gift of insight. So we'll add that to the pile of glimmering, and in this case we'll just take another trip. Now I can approach the white door through the bounds. Now I can now I can press my fingers to it. Feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the Mansis. Now here we are going to pay for the paints because we've got a full reputation painting. And we prepared the Thirsting Tantra for study. So we've got 148 seconds left. I should be able to at least read one more work, and then I think we'll use the study verb with health if we don't have a vitality through other means. A disquisition on the many varieties of thirst, their uses, and their effects. Sorry, dusty facts have become clear, and I forget the rest of the text for the light in the skull. I've been kind of bad at being quick on the trigger with the cards in this session, so sorry about that. Treasures lie before us. Let's see if I can actually read the intermediate text when it comes up. Alright, we gotta stay on this out of that, but 3 funds is not too bad. 5 mystique as well. Sadly, no vitality to show for it. Now I could wait, I think I'm just gonna wait the 8 seconds for the passion. Again, I'm not looking to create too much notoriety here, but I only have a few more opportunities to try and get a vitality. Well, this might be helpful in a different way. An intensity of radiance. Light dews the skin and suffuses the air. The invisible arts, Christopher Olapoli is said to have remarked, are as profitable as macrame, as ethical as tobacco smuggling, and in general as beneficial as roulette. Still, there's always the Orchard of Lights, and indeed the orchard, with its glowing fruit and its peaceful mist, is a place to be yearned for. Last night, I walked there in the peaceful hours of the deep night. Even after waking, I still carry with me a little of the glory of the old sun. So what I'll do here, I'm going to... So we'll combine the health that we need. In this case, I'm going to make one last-ditch effort for the wood. I'm going to wind up tying up the study verb no matter what. Well, sorry, that's not entirely true. The painting might give me something. Actually, I guess I won't know, because, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of this. The Tantra describes how the satisfaction of thirsts may allow a mortal to rise into the service of the thirsting power, but warns of the consequences of rejecting those rarer thirsts for common ones. A man who thirsts, O mighty one, whose mind clings to actions in this world, will return to this world of action from that other place. Alright, something got combined. I guess it was a Thakic invocation, possibly. And the Rite of the Seas fasting, which we already have a copy of, so it goes away. So we've only got 87 seconds left on the affliction. So in this case here, let's take our insurance policy with fresh air and exercise. Long walks kill cobwebs. We may wind up with a vitality through other means, but we won't know for sure. So in this case, I'm gonna kind of keep it simple. All right, we got some money from the victim, and my minion is returned, attended by a prisoner rendered docile with delight. So I'd like to try and use Saliba a little bit more, but we have this intensity of radiance, and this is quite useful to me here. So let's take our Mirror of Glory, we'll take Pope Clifton, we'll add the intensity of radiance, and then we should be able to use the Fenian invocation. Darn it, I misjudged. I need 21, so if I had the next level of lore, I'd be fine, but I don't. But I can move the pawn up. Right, 7th intensity, so I need... My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. And I did not wind up missing the text. Alright, this is a great oak where the masked crow once roosted. Lightning has split it from head to heart, and the tree is charred and rotting. It squirms with finger-length worms. Something glints dully in the swarm of dead roots. So here we have, in the mountains as upon the plain, there may not be a path where none has passed. So the problem with this one is that it's in Vac, and we're not quite where we need to be yet. So we're going to move that aside. But we do have some other goodies. So a dappled mask. In the forest where the moon couldn't go, the boughs of the trees were woven together like bandages or lovers. The boon might change herself to an ant or to a bird or to her sister, but the forest would not yield to her penetrations, no matter her caresses. One day we came with our scissors, and we severed the branches until the moon and the blood dappled the rotting leaves on the forest floor. This is a higher intensity than the Winged Doll, so we'll just move that higher in the list. Got Lethe, a dark and syrupy liquor favored in unnamed forest villages. The tongue and the eye, and now we begin. Forget your name, forget your skin. A whispering amulet. I know what it knows what I desire, or I imagine that it does. Not necessarily a very high intensity, but one thing that's helpful to remember about. So, there's a couple of things that can be useful about items like this. So, one. If you think of the tools as just something that you can use inside of a ritual, something like, the Whispering Amulet is nice to give as a gift to someone because, low intensity, you don't need to worry too much. But if you're doing something that requires Moth and Grail, now again, I mean, it's a fairly specific set of circumstances, but basically any items that have more than one, this will also be true for followers with scars. Generally, when you need a second principle, it tends not to be a lot that you need. And so what can happen is you get an additional slot freed up, where normally you'd sort of have to have one card dedicated to each aspect. Sometimes these items or cards in general, because again, followers are a really big example of this, you can wind up in situations where you don't need to worry as much about getting the intensity or getting the you don't need to worry about blocking out all of the different sections. And where that can become helpful, I noticed actually somebody asked the question during one of the videos about how to deal with dread. And of course, the thing to remember in this game is that influences can become inputs into rites and to different activities. But sometimes you don't even necessarily want them as inputs. Sometimes you just want to put them in a spot where they'll be destroyed. And so being able to open up a slot, particularly in the case of an influence. So for instance, the Whispering Amulet. If using the Whispering Amulet means that you're able to keep your influence slot open and you've got some fascination or some dread that you're trying to get rid of, sometimes using a card that has more than one principle behind it can mean the difference between being able to get rid of an influence that's harmful to you or having to wait for another opportunity to come up. So these are just kind of the little things. On its own, something like the Whispering Amulet can sometimes seem disappointing, but there are some subtle ways in which these items can wind up being quite helpful. All right, where were we? Notoriety for trouble, but everything else is where it needs to be. I think I'm going to end it here. I can lock in the next expeditions and all of that for the next video when I'm good and ready, but I think I need to wait between recording them, so it gives me a chance to just sort of stop and smell the roses and make sure that I'm doing the things that I want to do. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a good evening, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.